Hey guys, and welcome back to Item of the Day, episode 22. So, today our numbers are 41, 3, and 4. So, this item is very useful. As you can see, it's the Divining Rod. We're just going to make all three because they're not all the same thing, but they're just three different tiers of the item. But we're just going to be making it. I find this item completely helpful. It's just an amazing item. You guys will see why very shortly. So the first thing we're going to need is some materials, of course. We're going to need 8 cobblestone, 1 charcoal, 1 iron ingot, 1 redstone, 1 diamond, and 1 coal. Now this all is going to be to make all the covalence dusts. I've shown you guys before how to make them, but I will show you again. Now these covalence dusts, they're not shape crafting, but you have to have the right components. So you need the 8 cobblestone, and this is the recipe that it shows in the recipe list. So as you can see, covalence dust. If we move it, it doesn't matter. Covalence dust. This is how I normally do it, but it's shown in the recipe list like this. But like I said, it doesn't matter where it's placed. It can be placed anywhere, and it'll still make covalence dust. And these covalence dusts have an EMC of 1. So if you have some covalence dust left over from something else, it's very easy to just use those. Like, for example, I made an alchemy chest, and I believe I made a condenser with it, and I had a ton of covalence dust left over. You could easily just make one group of covalence dust, and then use those for however long you need until you need more. Now, the next thing we're going to need is some medium covalence dust. They're not necessarily called low covalence dust, medium covalence dust, and high covalence dust, but that's basically what I call them because that's basically the 3 tiers. So we're just going to grab this medium covalence dust, and as you can see, that was 1 redstone and 1 iron ingot. So next we need a piece of coal, and it has to be coal. It won't work as charcoal. Same with the low covalence dust. It won't work with regular coal. It has to be charcoal. So we just need 1 coal and 1 diamond, and we'll get covalence dust. Now, yeah, the last covalence dust might be a little bit difficult to make because you need a diamond for it. So of course you're not going to be able to make it before you get a diamond. But I'll show you guys basically a really easy way to find some diamonds without getting it in the first place. So the first thing you're going to need is a stick, and you're going to need to surround it with covalence dust. And as you can see, if you switch it, it's not going to work because it has to be a stick surrounded in covalence dust. As you can see, it's basically a stick on there, and it looks like it has a coating of covalence dust. So that's basically the whole point of it. So now we have a divining rod. This thing is amazing. For example, if I right click, it says divining suggests a value around 1.0. And of course, this item, this EMC value, the value that it's talking about, that's an EMC value. Of course, it's just saying 1 because, simply put, 1 is the EMC value of dirt, and that's all we're finding. But of course, it's not really recognizing it. It recognized right there the rows. I believe it says the low divining rod says the medium, and as you can see, it's 24 here. So I mean, you can just basically see some of the basic EMC levels. And of course, if I used it on this gravel, nothing's gonna happen because gravel doesn't have EMC. But you'll notice it says 1.0. That's because it goes and it's in a 9-block radius, so it'll be the bedrock plus all what's around it. So for example, if I got a piece of bedrock and built it up a little bit, it shouldn't say anything. See, not available. So basically bedrock, that's because bedrock doesn't have an EMC value. Now this used to actually be, the divining rod used to actually be a lot quicker. You could just spam it and just see everything. And as you can see, it says a value around 63 or 6,325. That's basically because that's what my power supply unit is. And you guys might see exactly why on my Tekkit Let's Play. So I mean, just keep an eye out for that, and you guys might be able to see it. And as you can see, now I actually got the wrong divining rod. Let me just switch them out, and there we go. Actually, I didn't even need to get that one. There we go. And as you can see, for this next one, you just put the medium covalence dust around the small or the low divining rod, and there you go, medium divining rod. And then, of course, you have the second divining rod. Now, you see it says best found 1. Well, that's because simply the best it's finding is dirt. And now, if I did it over here, it would say best found 32. If I did it over here, it should say best found 16. Exactly, because it's picking up the roses. So basically, it's just telling you what the EMC value of everything is. It tells you the average value, and it tells you the best value. Now, for example, if you're if you're going around and doing stuff, this divining rod specifically has a range of 16. This one has a range of 3, so it'll basically shoot out a little kind of sonar, I guess you could call it, but like in kind of an X-ray type thing, where if you right-click something, it'll do a 9-block radius, 3 blocks deep, and basically if you click G or your toggle function, you can see it's 3 by 3 by 3, so it'll measure in a 3 by 3 by 3 area. Now if you use this, it would be different, but of course, if you're going around measuring stuff, and say I measure something and there's something in the back that it doesn't pick up, and you're like, why isn't this working? Well, that's an easy fix. Just press the G key or your function key. Now you can see it says medium range or mid range. It says 16 by 3 by 3. Now it will measure 16 blocks deep. And as you can see now, it says best found 256. And that 256 is iron. So you can easily tell where stuff is, and especially if you're down deep in a cave, you can be just using this on the walls, and it would be fairly easy to find some diamonds, because instead of having to dig everywhere, you can just use this, and you can see what's in a 3 by 3 by 3 area, 16 blocks into that wall. And if there's a diamond there, of course, if you weren't going to dig there, of course now if you use this, you can just see basically what's in there, 16 blocks deep, and if that diamond's within that range, it will of course show up as best found 8192, which is just 8,192. That's basically how you know if a diamond is there, because diamond is the only ore or block type that is 8,192. Now, Eternalist Fuel is actually 8,192 EMC also, as you can see, but it's not a block, so it wouldn't show up. And anyway, as you can see, once you get that diamond, you can make the last covalence dust, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take this medium divining rod and put high covalence dust around it, and there you go. Now you get a high covalence dust rod, or high divining rod rather. Now, as you can see, you can just keep clicking, and it'll say like average, and it'll say best, second, and third. So this tells you the best 3. Now you may be wondering, why isn't that iron showing up? For example, if I get this out, you can see it says 4,096. Well, that's just because there's uranium under here, actually. So if I switch to my high divining rod, you might be wondering, why isn't this one working? That's the same exact thing. You just press G, change it to 16 by 3 by 3, and if you press G one more time, it becomes crazy amazing, and it goes to 64 by 3 by 3. So basically, it's going to measure a 9-block square, so it'll be the one in the middle, and then all the blocks around it, including the diagonals, 64 blocks into whatever you click on. So if I do that, of course, that uranium's going to show up, uraniums keep showing up, and of course the 512s, 256, 4000s, and of course if we went down deep into a cave, we would find diamonds fairly quickly with this thing. It's very easy to find diamonds with it, so I will show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. I'm just going to grab a destruction catalyst, and I'm actually going to grab an electric jetpack, and once it loads, there we go, electric jetpack. And also, I'm going to need fuel, so I'm just going to grab some Eternalist fuel. Alright, well, as you can see, we have the fully charged destruction catalyst and a divining rod. Actually, I'm thinking of a better way to go down into a cave instead of destroying everything. We're not just going to destroy our world, because I still have the backup save, but I still don't really want to destroy it too much. Anyway, we just gotta fix our jetpack because it says it's charged, but it's not. So once we put in the MFSU, it should charge fairly quickly. And it really is. As you can see, the power level isn't moving, but it's still charging. It's not too fast, but I mean, it will charge at a steady rate. And that's just because my power level, or my MFSU is full, and my power level is generating enough power. It's actually, things are probably spilling out everywhere down into the chamber that I built down there, so I should probably fix that. You guys will understand once I build that on my Tekkit Let's Play, which I hopefully will be starting soon, if I haven't already by the time you watch this. But anyway, as we're going to the bottom of this ravine, I will talk to you a little bit about the EMC values. If you see an EMC value, like for example, if you use the divining rod and find an EMC value, like for example, if I used it on this, actually, one second, let me fix the, there we go, and I'm actually not sure why this is giving problems, but it's not detecting the gem. That's kind of weird, actually. Anyway, we're just going to go deeper into the cave. So as you can see, once we get down to here, it'll probably say something around 64. As you can see, there's diamonds under here, so I mean, like I said, it's easy to find diamonds. You just clicked once and found it. As you can see, there's some gold down there because that's what 2000 is. And then here's some nickelite, so I'm just going to use this. And for some reason, my divining rods aren't quite working properly, which is kind of weird. I don't really appreciate that they're failing. But yeah, so I mean, if you use your divining rod and say you find an EMC value of 64, that is obsidian or lava. So just be aware of that. As you can see, it says third 64, or now it says second 64. That is obsidian, but it also counts that as lava. So just be aware of that. Don't think just like if you're using the divining rod right below you and you're digging straight down, don't assume that it's safe because it says 64, so there must be obsidian below me, so I'll be fine. Don't assume that. It could be lava, so I mean, just be aware of that. But and then, as you can see, this one 512, that's silver. We're just gonna go in order here. Copper ore is 85. Coal and nickelite is a value. As you can see, here's some coal. It's a value of 128, which that's just showing the best, so I'm gonna use this. And it's not detecting again. Okay, we're just gonna turn our thing to short range. As you can see, second 128. That's the coal that's right here in our face. And now, if we found copper ore, though, like I said, it would be 85. And this gold ore, of course, is going to be 2,000. And we actually found a little bit of abandoned mineshaft. That's also another way to do that, because if you see, for example, if you see like the EMC value of wood below the surface, then you know that there's an abandoned mineshaft down here, or somebody was placing blocks if you're playing in a server. Anyway, coal and nickelite, like I said, is 128, and mossy cobblestone. This is a nice tip to know. Mossy cobblestone is 145. It's considerably higher than regular cobblestone. So if you're looking through a ravine or something and you hit something that says 145, that is mossy cobblestone, and mossy cobblestone is the only thing that has that EMC value. So you'll know that you're at a dungeon, or somebody was placing mossy cobblestone, of course. Now then there's iron, which is 256, and I hope this there we go. Awesome. Stupid zombies. Anyway, like I was saying, iron is 256, silver is 512. Gems, for example, the emeralds and rubies and sapphires, they all have a value of 1,028. Now I'm not sure why it's not working on this. There's obviously something wrong with this right now. Might be just glitching out for some reason. But I mean, it's fine though. But that's the, either way, that's the EMC value for it. Maybe this one will work. Or my client could easily be glitching out, which I wouldn't put past it. Anyway, the next up on the line is gold. If you go over here, I'm just going to go over here and show you guys. As you can see, 2048, that's gold. If I go down here, of course, I'm not sure why it's not detecting nickelite either. It's kind of weird because it normally does detect them. But anyway, as you can see, the gold was 2048. Uranium, as you saw above the surface, is 4096. If we could find any of that, I'd show you guys. I'm just going to turn this up to high really quick and look for some stuff. But as we're looking, I would say that diamond is 8192. Now, like I said, diamond is the only one that has that value. And of course, you can see this 16,384. That is tungsten, and that is twice as expensive as diamond. So if you have like a condenser or a transmutation tablet, you can take one tungsten and turn it into 2 diamonds. And for some reason it's not detecting that it's not detecting the lapis either, I don't believe. But anyway, diamonds, like I said, with the divining rod is very easy to find because simply it's the only thing that has 1,000 or 8,192 rather. So if you find anything like that, you know it's got to be diamonds. And tungsten is also the only one that has 16,384. So that's another handy tip to know exactly where the good things are. Of course, the higher EMC value is, the more expensive they will be, the less items of those that you need to make some diamonds, which is always very nice. And then of course there's the red matter blocks and stuff, but those aren't going to occur naturally. For example, if I grabbed a DM block and an RM block, I'm not exactly sure what is burning at my house. Actually, I probably do. I want to turn off this rain really quick though. Oh god, creeper. Holy crap, that's a lot of creepers. Okay, time to fly to the rooftop. Or the treetop, rather. Wow, that is a lot of creepers. Okay, let's turn the rain off and get a nano saber because that's my go-to for creepers. Because they work so amazingly well. I believe I've already did a video on the nano sabers, and if you guys just go check that out, you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. And as you can see, I'm just one-hitting these creepers, having no problems with any mobs whatsoever. It's an amazing item. But this wasn't the point of the item of the day. It wasn't today's item. So we are moving on. If we put this dark matter block down, it should be detected. Yeah, as you can see. Oh, let me just get this out. As you can see, 139,264. Huge value, of course. That's just crazy. And then, of course, the 466,944. Now, as you can see, it's detecting these blocks values. So, you can also find them. If you see anything that large, you just hit a jackpot. And that is if you're not going to be... if it's not going to be considered griefing or stealing. Because if you can take that, that would be amazing, and it would just be crazy to find that, because you'd be able to basically make a ton of diamonds or whatever you want. You could make some red matter out of that if you wanted, which is always very nice. But anyway, like I said, the divining rod, I will just go back through the distances really quick. Low divining rod is 3 by 3 by 3. Medium is 16 by 3 by 3, so it's a 3 by 3 shape. So if I click right here, it'll take all of these plus the one I clicked on, and 16 deep. And this one, of course, all these, and then 64 deep, which is awesome. Now, also, I will show you guys how to check your toggle key. For example, you need the toggle key to make these work, and if you don't know what the toggle key is, you might be in for a little bit of trouble. So anyway, you just go to Escape, or your game menu, Options, Controls, and scroll all the way down. Should be all the way down, at least. Unless you have other mods and stuff, which you might have. But anyway, you just go all the way down, and where it says Toggle Active, that says G, That's, or whatever key it may be on. That is what your toggle key is. So that's what you need to use to select the distance. But anyway, that was the divining rod. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, have a nice day.